Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar series. My name is Molly Haynes. I'm an ERP strategy coordinator with Revolution Group, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about Revolution Group before we get started. David, next slide. Revolution Group was Plex's first partner over 20 years ago, and based on our ability to speak manufacturing, we find the best way for Plex to fit your business need. In consulting, we offer services such as UX transitions, training workshops like costing, SQL, and Teleplex 2.0, data analytics, VisionPlex. We also handle optimizations and continuous improvement initiatives to see how your use of Plex may have changed over the years through process changes, new challenges, turnover, etc. We help you find the best way to utilize it for the present day. David, if you could go to the next slide. So again, that's a little bit about us. And then the next slide, in addition, we're one of the only partners who specializes in Plex development. We have created custom applications, completed integrations between Salesforce, ADP, and other payroll systems, as well as creating an integration from configure to order system configure one. We've also helped customers with custom applications, process flows, custom documents, which are some of the newer features in Plex. So what I'd like to do now is turn this over to David Chubb. David is our development and integration manager here at Revolution Group. And when he gets started, if you see there's a question box at the top of the webinar. During the webinar, if you have a question, please post it there. And at the end, we will go over your questions. So David, turning over to you.
Yeah, first, thank you all very much for your time today. I know you guys' time is very precious and valuable, especially approaching to the end of Q1. Yep, we're almost to the end of Q1. Sorry. Anyways, I'm David Chubb, development manager for Revolution Group. I help customers like yourselves day in and day out. Just help solve your last mile or last inch fit to have Plex like fully utilized in your organization from the shop floor all the way to the top floor of your organization. I've implemented Plex a few times. Lucky number 13 for me. Hopefully going to work on my 14th. I've received the Plex Transformer Award a couple times. Full stack developer, and I'm the creator of DataMagik. Okay, so today we're going to talk about like different levels of crisis like in the organization. We've got a couple different kind of levels of that crisis. We've got a kind of a slow burning, hey, this is a problem that slowly gets bigger. And then what I'm calling a flash fire is that there is an immediate problem that's happening right now that you have to solve right now. When I was working like directly for manufacturers, we always called those the flavors of the day. We're going to cover some of the restoration work we've done to help correct some invoices that have happened for some of our customers. Also show how that we help protect you from those flash fires or those flavors of the day. And then show just like how we can really make you agile and like make you like really like responsive to overall like changing landscape, and not just make you like kind of stuck and kind of waiting for something to come out and help you move forward. And then as you guys make questions to the chat, we're going to answer those here at the end. They can be as thoughtful as you want to get into from a question standpoint. Could be even like nitty gritty to like a specific use case, or what my favorite flavor of pudding is, kind of as you want. Q&A sessions do exactly what your guys' questions are. Okay, so we've all been here. It's really 2 p.m. Friday. The CFO came to your desk, the quality manager on the line, and there's a data error that really put your full like production schedule and really your reputation of really on the line and at risk, because there's something that has caused an issue in production. That, again, number one thing in production is to allow shipping, allow good parts to be made. And there could be something that could bring that up as a risk. it's not really not just a problem. It's really a business like continuity crisis. Like, how do you quickly solve those problems while still going out the day-to-day business? Because just because you have a problem showed up, everything else that goes across your desk, that hasn't stopped coming your way, and you need to respond and to kind of protect your holding in the marketplace. Okay, so we have two kind of phases of crisis. Like I mentioned, we have like the slow burn. This is really like the hidden technical debt or misconfigurations or like errors that have been made slowly over time. They build up, build up, build up, build up, build up until you have a mountain of pieces that we need to correct. The example that we're going to cover in depth today is we helped a customer with 570,000 AP invoices. They were misconfigured when they first went live with Plex, and then every AP invoice that was paid from that go live until it was 4 years since they become a customer of ours, that we were able to help solve them and help stop that mountain from growing. And then we're going to go through a fast burn scenario where we have a sudden supply chain shock, a quality failure, or something that expects us to reply immediately, take immediate corrective action without losing a full day for that correction. One of the pieces that I've seen happen often, which is generally just really disruptive, is you get a call from your supplier and they give you the unfortunate news like, hey, we sent you product that was defective. Typically, right, if they do this soon enough, well, this is still on a receiving dock. Great, that's easy. Let's go grab that box. But usually that's not the case. With just-in-time material delivery schedules, which is the norm nowadays, you probably have that box or that coil of steel, or our examples I'm going to get into, that is already in production. You've already shaped it, formed it, transformed it, packed it, maybe even shipped it. And you've got to quickly get your hands around that and communicate, well, what do I need to do to help reel this in and control the risk and control this, like this flash fire or this burn that's going to go through our quality delivery or mess up our production schedules. Okay, so we've got really two things. Again, we're going to go there. It's like a historical restoration, high volume cleanup of like some legacy configuration, and then this real-time shield of let's give you really strong tools in your toolbox to quickly go after these things without having to spend more of your time to get your hands around it manually versus having it just automatically go out and do this for you. Okay, phase one here. Let's extinguish the slow burn of that mountain of technical debt that is coming up. Okay, so we had, like, this is a real story, and we didn't include our customer's name here, this just for their privacy. But we had our customer, they went live with Plex, and they had the pay and fulfilled flag. You know, anything about the AP invoice statuses, they had those on the same status of pay. The big deal of that was that when you have the fulfilled flag on a status, that means that you can no longer update it from the UI or from inside of Plex. So we had these 570,000 AP invoices that they could not correct. And even if you could, it would take you months to correct this information just for the sheer volume of this data that was put out. Really, it's kind of a big audit risk, just for it to still being showed as you need to pay this invoice when it was already paid and fulfilled. And kind of what led us to this, like this big mountain of data misconfiguration. We were implementing enterprise financials with them. We implemented, configured the module, and trained. And then we got into really our customer, our partner in this project, of using it. They're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What about all of these invoices I'm now seeing? I can't use this application. Well, we couldn't use it because we had this huge mountain of data that's really stopped us from using this, using enterprise financials, which was would have been a huge boon for them and allowed them to quickly like streamline their AP at an enterprise level. Okay, so what we did was we used our tool called DataMagik Desktop. It's a tool that allows us to do, we call it like surgical API updates. We didn't just like quote unquote blast data into Plex. We connected to Plex and we applied like really precise logical fixes to it. DataMagik allows us to take an Excel document and then upload it to a Plex data source API. Again, to take that Excel document where we did an analysis from their AP payables. We did some common sense things where if the balance was 0 and it was marked as this pay status, well, it probably should be as fulfilled. So we quickly updated that fulfilled status to, we updated that pay status to fulfilled. And we did that not in days, not in weeks, we did that in hours. I believe it was a total of maybe 3 hours, and most of the time was spent with just validating the data, really exchanging like, hey, here's the update that we're planning to do. Do you agree with the overall logic that we're planning to do this update here? And we're able to do that quickly, and then there was really no downtime, no interruption of the finance team. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through what exactly that process looked like here. All right, so this is a pretty simplified SQL query that we wrote, like for the customer. And this one doesn't have like that specific customer kind of detail and data in here, but you can see kind of what we did. We have this AP invoice status link, which is the key. We put in here what we wanted the status to be. This is my Plex user number, if you're curious what it was. And then we downloaded the file from Plex. So number one, let's download her. So we downloaded the file from Plex, and then in DataMagik here, this has our, it's a little bigger. This has our web service credentials automatically into it, and then we have in here this AP status change. Oops. Hold on just a second. All right, so we have this AP invoices status change data source. This was an off-the-shelf data source on Plex, so we didn't need to make anything. Literally, if there is a data source existing in Plex, we can use that data source in DataMagik. And kind of the magical thing as part of it is, well, we can transform that data source, which is the really technical document. And then depending on the data source, it could look just like a regular upload to Plex. This one's not so much looking like that, just because it's talking about the invoice link, the status key, the updated by. but you'll get a good idea of like what this process looks like here. There's some friendlier ones that work just like the uploads in Plex. So I'm going to click download my template here. I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to open up my file here. Here's my upload template from DataMagik. So again, it has this, shows me the exact type of data that it's expecting, whether that data is required or not, and if that data is nullable or is this allowed to be blank. Okay, so I have that, which that's kind of step one. We need to know what we want the data in. And then I have my file here that we wrote that is that very like technical kind of data research that we did. I'm just gonna take my file here. We've only got 96 invoices we're gonna update here. And then I've got my invoices that I'm gonna target for upload. I'm gonna save my file. And then I'm gonna open up that file here. You can see here in DataMagik, and so it took that file and said, okay, I have 95 records I'm gonna update. Now this is shorter than that, 570,000, but I don't think you wanna watch this run for an hour, which I'm sure you understand. So I'm gonna run this in the test, just simply ran. It took those 95 records here. It goes out, it's updating each record one by one, and then it returns us back like the exact response from Plex for what happened, like for each record, which we could download and to store for our historical records. Before we move on to see like the kind of the proof in the pudding on this invoice here, it's important to note that DataMagik can also pull live data from Plex. So if you wanted to do some type of transformation, pull some data from Plex to maybe you want to look up customer records or financial data that really should be real-time data, you can do that. Use it in your most people's favorite tool for reporting, which is Excel. Modify, and then you can do an update back to Plex with no row restriction. So most uploads in Plex are restricted to 1,000 rows. In this specific use case, we had 570,000 rows in our file. And if this would have been an upload format, that could have been 570 upload files we could have potentially had to do if it was equivalent data going back and forth. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my my invoice here that we have. Just a second here. I'm going to go into test. Just going to pick a invoice. Okay, so we can see this invoice that we updated. It's showing as fulfilled here. It's also showing that at 11:17 a.m., this guy updated the invoice from really pay to fulfilled. So it shows that full audit history of what just happened. See that I updated this from pay to fulfilled to move that status from the pay to fulfilled so we can use enterprise financials. And really this is kind of the end of the story, like with this, like they were able to move on, continue with the project, and to get onto what should have been the normal run-of-the-mill stuff of rolling out training for enterprise financials, getting people to shift from that specific PCN or specific like plant location in Plex in terms of how they're managing AP to roll that up into like the enterprise level. So just by numbers here, so we cleaned up in an hour 570,000 records. And again, we did that without error as we validated that with the customer that number one, we are updating records that we only want to update. And then we didn't have to split that across files or hand key anything manually into either Plex or into our Excel document. We're going to take that exact data from Plex, have our business logic transformation in there, and really get this project past the customer as fast as possible to get onto the thing they actually want to work on, not just this mountain of technical debt that they didn't know that they had until they tried to improve the process. Okay, so phase two, calling this the shield. So we're responding to the fast burn. So our scenario here is that our supplier alerted us that we have a defective coil. In this example, I have 400 plus containers have already been produced. Again, if you work in manufacturing, which I know you all do, you know how big of a deal this is when a supplier says, hey, my coil of steel or my source inventory that's used in many containers potentially has an issue. That is a monster-sized problem that has a huge impact, not just from your inventory, but you have all of these containers that could be shipping to a customer, maybe being used in something else, like internally. And you really have to get your hands around this as fast as you can to control cost, control exposure, and to deal with this just before the problem blows up and becomes bigger than just a coil of steel or maybe a couple bins of parts that you've produced. Okay, so part of what we're going to do with DataMagik Automate is that we're going to, as the name suggests, we're going to automate all of this. So we're going to go and do a genealogy crawl of our parts. We're going to look out and say, okay, let's find every child part and WIP container in that tree instantly. And then we want to instantly lock it down so that we put that on hold as fast as possible to stop any production in process, to stop any shipment in process. And then we want to have an email alert to go out and alert key stakeholders in the company saying, hey, we have to lock this down now. Here is our hunt list to go pull this into the either MRB or the quality hold cage, just to prevent this from getting out and being used either in our direct production or shipping out to a customer. Okay, so we have, I'm going to pull up I'm going to go back to Plex here. My favorite place to show something is something real. So we have a container here that I have set up. So this one's called part coil steel. So, and this is just one of our testing parts here, but this coil of steel, it can be used on many parts. Example that I'm showing, this one specifically is used on multi-out parts where we have 3 different parts produced with the same coil of steel at the same time. So it's not just one part, we've got 3 potential parts that are produced off of this press. Those 3 potential parts could be used in something else internally, like different parts. You can imagine how fast this grows in terms of how that impact grows and spreads. And then we could have shipped some of these to our customers, to our subcontractors. I mean, you just imagine the longer this goes on, the longer the tendrils of that problem push out to the organization. So the faster we can respond to this, the better our organization's served. Okay, so you've probably noticed something new here. we have a button here on the top of the screen. It's called lot hold. Okay, so when I push this button, it's going to go out. It's going to do that genealogy crawl that I spoke about. It's going to update the container status, and then for the purpose of today, it's going to show me a report, kind of real time pop up and say, okay, here is all of that inventory that I just put on quarantine for you and what the current status and location it is, and if it was shipped out or not to a customer. So I'm going to click lot hold. It's going to run. There's no theme music when the button's pressed. Sorry. Again, as it's running, it's going through that full genealogy tree, putting things on hold. And here is everything that it just did. So we have this coil of steel that we put on hold with that single button press. And then we have these 2 pages of serial numbers that are also on hold now with that button press. So let me zoom in here. We can see that we have here the serial number for that part that was produced. We have the part name. We have the job, what operation it's at. Notice we have this across multiple jobs, which kind of goes into how quickly this material can be spread out and used. It has the current location, the quantity, and then ship status. This one says it's in-house still, which that is good news. We've not shipped this out to a customer yet. If it was shipped out to a customer, it would display me my ship date and my shipper number so that you can quickly alert your customer and say, hey, we shipped this product. Please quarantine us. Please quarantine this material because we know we have a steel defect. Please quarantine us. This, hopefully ship it back. So anyways, as I go through here, I mean, you can see all these serial numbers here. We have the barcode that, again, has that serial number on it. And then if I look up one of these serial numbers here, which is our DMO inner stamp, we can see that at 11:26 a.m., I updated this container. I put in here a note that just says lot hold from this serial number. You can see this is certainly a lot hold. It's placed on hold. Obviously, this came into the inventory status of, yep, we put this on hold here. For this, I know I hit this button a few times now, but you can see it very clearly got placed on hold. And on a hold means that it can no longer be used in production and it can no longer be shipped out to a customer. And we updated that container with some type of a note that it was related to this specific serial number that we had put onto lot hold that it was used in. Okay. Now, this was configured again with DataMagik Automate. DataMagik Automate itself, it's got a couple real components to it. We have the automations that we saw. We have the lot hold automation that we saw. Again, this is the button that showed up on our screen. We can see here that, yep, this is the button name, lot hold. We even have a description of this button, which we may be able to see that, lot hold. And then it's linked to like this specific container form. These buttons can be linked to any screen inside of Plex. And then it can talk to data inside of Plex, outside of Plex. It can even talk to your local file server or your printer. Let's say if you wanted to print this whole document out to every printer that you had in the area, you could do that with the button. And then we trigger a custom like script in here that essentially just goes out and it coordinates that key activity of here's every piece that we want to, which I'll just briefly show here. It reaches out and it coordinates, here's all of the things I wanted to go out and do from it. And then as a final like closing action of it, well, as proof of work, we wanted to show some document that showed us everything that was put on hold, like for this lot hold, like in a very nice looking document where we can easily hand that off to quality or production or quality inspector, whomever is going to take these serial numbers and go quarantine these. This document designer, it can be used to generate barcodes, images. Again, it can take data from inside of Plex, outside of Plex, and then really merge them into like one document that is generated from inside of Plex without having to jump to other systems to be able to do this. So really, really, really powerful tool to have in someone's hands for when you get that call from that supplier. And prior to this, right, that would have started off a race. Gosh, was this material used? Where was it used at? And then was it shipped? This turns that from maybe a many hour effort into under a minute for that to happen, where it gets put on hold, quarantine, and gives you all of that data you need to do or need to respond to this in a single like punch sheet to go out and quarantine and contain this material. So really, like the outcome, right? It's that instant containment cert, like really that fully customized document that you can provide your customers even proof that, yes, we quarantine this within minutes of getting a call from a supplier. That fast moving capability is a differentiator in the market for you to be able to take material, protect your brand and your company's reputation by quarantining this material from that supplier defect and getting under control without burning a ton of time and resources to go and do this. Okay, I've got it here as a chart just to show you what like the time difference is for these two different, the slow burning piece here, and then like this this manual recall search that we just went through. So manual cleanup, that could take 2,000 hours plus to be able to go and update that many documents. DataMagik Desktop took us, I put 10 hours in here just because this was the full like communication channel time from request to data generation and updates. So the full bookend to bookend for solving it was 10 hours. The active time was certainly less than that. And then this manual recall search time, this could have taken 8 hours of a QE's life for them to go get their hands around this material. And it happens with inside a minute. Okay, so that's really the two types of crises here, right? We've got that, like the slow burning fire that we're gonna help you solve with DataMagik Desktop from like a data cleanup or a project type of work, data transformation tool. And then again, we have that Data Magic Automate, which is really meant to be augmenting and improving your process to quickly respond to customer needs or help automate something that happens in your current process that is really, really data intensive, and give people more time back to their lives to allow them to do the best work that they can do and not have to be professional firefighters. Okay, we offer training for Data Magic. Our standard training package is this. We offer 2 hours of one-on-one training with Data Magic, and then the piece that I like the most, right? The first section here, we just get you up to speed on the tool. Second is that we help you with your first project, and we assume we're going to help you with the first 2 hours of that project from like the DataMagik Desktop side of things. That is enough to do like the full project, help you find that first data source to be able to do those transformations of your data. Okay. And then for Data Magic itself, we have a pretty rich documentation, like a library for all the functions in Data Magic. It's at data-magic.com for documents and really rich documentation. Right. I guess questions here from we saw today. Any questions in chat?
Yeah, we have a couple. So if you guys have any questions right now, go ahead and put them in the question box. The first question is, shall we set any format for the upload via DataMagik?
Yeah, so the format itself for an upload, it's pretty, I can expand on that a little bit. So here's our exact upload file we just used to upload those 95. So this piece here, it's pretty like restrictive. Like we have to have these exact names in here, which are known for an upload, but we can do some other fun things like to this document that is some additional things. We could have Z, I'm just doing Z because I've never seen a lowercase z in a data source. Note, and we could do some, again, these are very detailed business notes here for why we updated it. But we could do some value here. And because this was skipped, or this didn't match the upload template, it gets skipped by Data Magic automatically. We can also have in here other Excel sheets. So if you have like the first 2 or 5 sheets in this document, and then the upload file at the very end of it, or the middle of it, or the beginning of it, it doesn't really matter. It searches, I opened the wrong file here. It searches for this upload template, and it just ignores things that aren't relevant to it. So if you had more like specific like data you want to have in here to do your transformations for your upload, or put notes into the direct upload file and tab, and you're free to do that, and it's going to behave like you'd expect. Just ignore it because it's not applicable.
Okay, another question. When executing the upload in DataMagik, in the example you gave, if there are 575,000 records, will it use 575,000 calls from our quota?
Yes, that is true. Each row is its own specific call to Plex.
No other questions yet. Does anybody have any other questions for David? So I'll monitor that, no questions. Any other slides you want to show?
Nope. I guess just one thing just to mention as well. So We offer full training courses. I mean, I'm showing you up here because I'm a developer, and this is really a development centric webinar. We offer full 2-day courses in SQL, VisionPlex, and Teleplex process flows, soon to be document composer. We offer, what I'm really proud of this service is like a co-engineering service where, let's say if you're new to one of these tools and you have a really good problem you want to solve, but you just need a little help to solve it. We will work with you to come up with a plan that meets you exactly where you're at, help you with that project to get that first good project under your belt or some miles under your feet, and to help you with that and just get you onto like the next project to try yourself with a really good working example. As well, and not just on the development side, we also offer many other training courses and services from our consulting team. Really, if you have a desire and a need to learn something in Plex, more than likely, we have a training course either all ready to go, or we can custom tailor one for you, or to again to meet you exactly where you're at.
No other questions, David?
Okay. Well,
thanks everybody for joining us today. You'll be receiving an email after this webinar at some point that will have a recording that you can go back to. And if you have any questions in the future that come up, please feel free to reach out to David or myself, and we'd be glad to answer those questions for you. So again, thank you for joining us today, and have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.
thank you.